Fang kept barking a lot near the car, which told the police that he found something important. Then, the police dog checked the car and found illegal stuff. Officer Joseph and his team looked at the car too and were surprised because they had never seen anything like it before. They wouldn't have found it without the help of the police dog. Fang was a special police dog known for finding illegal drugs. He was well liked by the police and had fans on Instagram. He had lots of training and was the best drug-sniffing dog on the team. Fang often helped the police at the border to stop drugs from coming into the United States from Mexico. One day, he was called to check a car that got pulled over. The driver didn't have a license and hadn't been in trouble for drugs before, so the police thought maybe they were smuggling drugs. Fang sniffed around the car and kept going back to a spot under the passenger seat. The police thought he found drugs, so they took the car apart to look for them. They took off the seats, looked inside, and even searched all the cushions and headrests. But to their surprise, they found nothing. It didn't make sense to them at all. Fang had never been wrong before. Whenever he fixated on a specific area, the police would always find drugs hidden in that spot. So when they turned up nothing after tearing apart the car, they were stunned. Was Fang wrong for the first time? Or was there something else going on here? The police huddled together to try to figure out what had happened. Was there anything they were missing? Had they not fully taken apart the car? They wondered whether they should keep digging through the vehicle, but thought it might be a waste of time. At this point, if drugs were hidden under the passenger seat, they should have found it. Reluctantly, the police called off the search. They decided Fang must have been wrong this time. Despite the suspect's prior convictions and Fang's detection, it looked like there was nothing here to investigate further. The suspect was angry at the cops and gloated at their failed search of his vehicle. When he realized the cops were calling off their search, the suspect berated them with insults. He accused them of improperly searching his vehicles. Some of the officers were worried this could blow up into a situation, but they had followed protocol to the letter, so they knew, despite the suspect's complaints, they hadn't done anything wrong. Officer Joseph worked with Fang extensively. He was shocked that Fang had falsely detected hidden drugs in the suspect's car. He kept thinking about the incident for the next few days, wondering if Fang was wrong or if something else might have happened. He couldn't get the incident out of his mind. Although his colleagues told him to forget about the search, Joseph couldn't stop thinking about it, so he began investigating the suspect a bit more. He discovered that in addition to several prior convictions, the suspect also had family members who were known members of a Mexican drug cartel. The drug cartel used to be associated with an infamous drug lord who had been captured by U.S. authorities and, after a long trial, sentenced to life in prison. This drug lord was known for being especially creative and had eluded authorities for decades before he was caught. This drug lord was especially good at hiding and smuggling drugs. He would often come up with elaborate schemes to successfully get drugs inside the U.S. It took the authorities many years to uncover some of his operations, but many of the operations were never discovered. As Joseph learned all of this information, he couldn't help but think the suspect had found an especially clever way to hide drugs inside his vehicle. Fang had never been wrong before. If this suspect was associated with the drug cartel known for its sophisticated smuggling operations, then perhaps Fang wasn't wrong after all. Fang was still used to sniff out hidden drugs, and every single time, he was right. Again and again, the police found drugs hidden in whatever spot Fang fixated upon. Fang's track record continued to be perfect, except for that one incident. This convinced Joseph that the suspect did indeed have drugs hidden somewhere in his vehicle. The police just failed to find them. Everyone in the department forgot about the incident in which they couldn't find drugs under the passenger seat that Fang identified. Every now and again, they might joke about that one time Fang was wrong. For the most part, things went on as normal, but Joseph did not forget. One day, Joseph was out patrolling when he got a call over the police radio about a car being driven by a suspect who might be in possession of a stash of illegal firearms. Joseph kept a close lookout for the car and suspect described on the police radio. Just when he had given up hope of finding the suspect, he saw the car described on the police radio. He quickly pursued the suspect. He put on his lights and siren and pulled the suspect over in a back alley. Joseph cautiously exited his vehicle, knowing the suspect might be armed. As Joseph carefully approached the stopped car, he was shocked by what he saw. Driving the car was the same suspect from the previous drug search, the same suspect connected to the infamous drug cartel. Joseph couldn't believe it. As soon as he locked eyes with the suspect hit the gas and sped off. Joseph sprinted back to his police car and chased after the suspect. He called in for backup. He had only been in a car chase once before. As he carefully tried to keep up with the suspect, thoughts began racing through his mind. His instincts told him this suspect was up to something big. The suspect turned into a quiet residential neighborhood. At this point, the suspect was beginning to lose control of his vehicle. He was swerving. Joseph was concerned the suspect might hit someone outside. The suspect collided with a mailbox but kept speeding ahead. Joseph was close behind. Then backup arrived. A second police car came racing towards the suspect from the other direction and was able to box the suspect in. The suspect hit the brakes and his car came to a screeching halt. The suspect leapt out of the car and sprinted towards the woods. Joseph hit the brakes and jumped out of his car, chasing the suspect on foot into the woods. Luckily, Joseph was in good shape and could keep up with the fast-moving suspect. There was a hiking trail through the woods that the suspect ran down. Joseph was in close pursuit. As they both ran down the hiking trail, Joseph could tell he was gaining on the suspect. When he was close enough, he tackled the suspect to the ground. The suspect was out of breath and exhausted from the chase. Joseph quickly put handcuffs on the suspect and called for backup. With the suspect on the ground, Joseph and another officer who came as backup searched the suspect. They found a small amount of illegal substances and some drug paraphernalia on him. They took the suspect back to his car as more officers arrived on the scene. Fang the dog was brought in to search the vehicle. Fang searched the vehicle high and low. Joseph was eager to see if Fang found anything. Joseph still felt that the suspect was adept at hiding drugs in vehicles. This time, he wanted to make sure that if Fang detected anything, they searched the car as thoroughly as possible. Just like before, Fang kept focusing on the side passenger seat in the car, so the police took the car apart again. Joseph joined them, thinking they'd find something this time. They searched for hours but found nothing. Joseph was confused and couldn't understand it. How could Fang be wrong twice with the same suspect? Joseph was puzzled. The suspect had a history of running away, was suspected of having illegal guns, had previous convictions, and had ties to a notorious drug gang. Also, Fang always pointed to the side passenger seat. Why didn't they ever find drugs when they searched the suspect's car? Eventually, the police gave up searching the car. They had enough to charge the suspect with other crimes. Joseph's fellow officers thought it was strange that Fang smelled something under the side passenger seat again, but found nothing. There wasn't much they could do, just like last time. The suspect had a long trial and was found guilty of some crimes, but not all of them. He got a 3-year prison sentence. Joseph was glad that a dangerous suspect was behind bars, but he still couldn't figure out why they couldn't find drugs in the car. Years passed. The suspect served his sentence, and Joseph continued his police work as usual. As time went on, Joseph thought less about the suspect, but every now and then, he remembered the incident and still felt there was a mystery he hadn't solved. One day, Joseph went to a house to deal with a family argument. He realized he was talking to the suspect's brother, who worked for the sewer department and had no criminal record. They had a normal conversation, and Joseph thought that one brother did well in life while the other went the wrong way. Later, Joseph learned that the suspect would be released from prison soon after 3 years. He wondered if they would meet again. Eventually, they did. Joseph got a call about a suspicious man with a gun in a parked car. When he arrived, he was surprised to find that it was the suspect. They hadn't seen each other for years, but they both recognized each other. Joseph had hoped the suspect would leave his criminal ways, but it seemed he hadn't. Joseph started asking the suspect some questions. He could see that the suspect was acting strangely, like he might have used some kind of drug. In the suspect's backseat, Joseph noticed there was a gun. It seemed like the suspect hadn't learned from his time in prison and was becoming a worse criminal. Joseph called for help, and Fang the dog arrived to search the car. Joseph felt like he knew what would happen next. He thought Fang would focus on the side passenger seat again, and they would tear the car apart only to find nothing. Just as Joseph expected, Fang smelled something under the side passenger seat, and they searched the car but found nothing. Joseph was frustrated, but then he had an idea. He couldn't believe they hadn't tried it before. Joseph, one of the police officers, took the suspect's keys and moved the car a bit. Suddenly, Fang started barking and chasing after the car, which was unusual. They tried to calm Fang down, but he kept chasing the car. Underneath, where the car had been parked, There was a manhole cover. The police didn't know what Joseph was up to, but they could tell he had an idea. When Joseph got out of the car and looked at the manhole cover, everything suddenly clicked in his mind. It was like a light bulb moment. Joseph suddenly went under the suspect's car and started banging hard beneath the seat on the side where a passenger sits. The other police officers were very confused. Then they heard a loud sound, and Joseph came out from under the car holding a round piece of the car floor. Joseph showed the round piece to the other officers and said, "I finally figured out how this suspect has been sneaking drugs." The other officers didn't understand. Joseph went to a manhole cover, lifted it, and they all looked inside. What they saw surprised them. Inside the underground sewer, there were a lot of illegal drugs. The police were shocked as they put everything together. The suspect would park his car over a manhole cover, open up the car floor under the side passenger seat, and drop the drugs into the sewer through the manhole. Fang the dog had been right all along. There were small amounts of drugs in the car, but the police couldn't find the smuggled drugs because they were being secretly dropped into the sewer. The officers wondered how Joseph figured this out. It turned out that the suspect's brother worked for the sewer department. Joseph explained that he had met the suspect's brother who worked with sewers. When he saw the manhole cover, he understood what was happening. The suspect's brother would collect the drugs once the suspect dropped them secretly into the sewer through the manhole. Joseph finally understood the whole plan. The suspect got caught and confessed to everything. He had learned how to sneak drugs cleverly with help from a cartel. He and his brother from the sewer department had a plan to hide and move drugs through the sewer system. This secret drug operation had been happening for a long time. Joseph always trusted his instincts and believed that Fang was right about the drugs in the car. It turned out he was right. Fang and Joseph were never wrong. Soon, both the suspect and his brother were in jail, and Joseph got a promotion. Fang, the dog, even got a special badge for his excellent work. The newspapers wrote about the sewer operation, and Joseph became a local hero. In the end, it proved that Fang the dog was always right. The police had doubted him before, but because Joseph believed in him, they uncovered and stopped the drug smuggling operation. When Fang retired from duty, Joseph adopted him. They still live together and make a great team in solving crimes.